program, you can probably tell this is going to be a little bit of a long one, so be prepared. The first two pieces that I have for you are two pieces that I played for GSA's recitals for the past. The first one, Fantaisie-Impromptu, I played for my very first senior recital, so in 9th grade. And the other one, Hungarian Rhapsody number 6, I played this past winter. So yeah, there we go. stuff, we should probably dial it down a little bit for this next one. So this next one is simply titled Change. And if you noticed, this is actually a piece that I had written myself. So my goal with writing the piece was to basically tell a story, not a specific story, but just like having different sections that have like different emotions tied to them, I guess, and then having them connect between each other. And so when I had to come up with a title, I was thinking about the different section. I was like, well, the most relatable thing that this could really have to do with is change. Change is something that people go through all the time, and there's always a lot of mixed feelings that go along with it. And so, I hope you relate to this piece in some way. So Mario and this is all going to be from Mario and Zelda games because those are the ones that I play the most. And this first one that I got is from Super Mario Odyssey, and it's called Fossil Falls. The reason why it's called that is because, well, it's the first major location in the game, and basically it was this mountain with a giant fossilized dinosaur stuck inside of it, with a waterfall cascading down from it. So, as you listen to this piece, you're going to hear notes and melodies that rise up and then they cascade back down like waterfalls do. So yeah, enjoy. massive game with a complicated story, so coming up with a main theme to encapsulate everything about the game is obviously a difficult task, but it does it exceptionally well. Within the game's story, basically the main character, Link, he wakes up after basically a 100-year nap and walks out of the cave and sees this giant world. But he has no recollection of anything that happened 100 years ago. So as he runs around the world and he talks to people, finds different places, he slowly unlocks memories of his past. And he remembers the tragic events that happened 100 years ago, where essentially an apocalypse takes place called the Great Calamity. And many people die. It's terrible. Even the 4 people who are supposed to have been able to save everybody from the Great Calamity die as well. But 100 years later, Link, after miraculously surviving 100 years ago, he has to take on the challenge of officially defeating the ancient evil. And somehow, this 2-minute piece of music manages to capture like everything about that story almost perfectly. I know I said a very shortened version of it, but still. Next piece is called Mipha, and it's from the exact same game, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. And Mipha is one of the 4 champions that was supposed to be able to stop the Great Calamity that I mentioned earlier. As I said, all 4 of them tragically died, but Mipha's story in particular, as you learn it through Link's memory, is even more sad. As you'll learn that Mipha, one of the 4 champions, had a love for the main character, Link. And so but she also never got the chance to tell him any of that kind of stuff. But she did make it relatively obvious, but in one of the memories that you find, Mipha says that after the whole Great Calamity thing is done with, she was hopeful that they'd get to spend more time together, which makes the tragic reality all the more heartbreaking. And so, in the game, there are 4 sort of songs of remembrance for each of the 4 champions, and Mipha's theme is one of those, and it sort of reflects that sad story as a short period. think this next piece, the Song of Healing, is also another example of that. This particular arrangement is known as Song of Healing, but it's a little much because they took the original theme and they kind of build and take it to another level. But anyway, within the game, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, it's notorious for being one of the darkest of the Legend of Zelda games in terms of its themes. And the reason being is because most of the characters in the game have some sort of grief or loss that they are going through. And so Song of Healing is something that you can play in the game using your magical ocarina and playing the Song of Healing, it doesn't do like regular kind of healing, like injuries or stuff like that you might expect, but instead it heals their sorrow. And so this piece, I'm gonna say something. I had this in my mind, I know it for a fact. Oh yeah, grief and loss, those are things that we all experience in our lives at some point. Sometimes it happens more, sometimes it doesn't happen at all. I know some of you have even told me some of your stories of grief and loss directly to me. And so if you are currently going through any sort of grief or loss, this goes out to you. total whiplash compared to the one that I just played, but it's called Colgera Battle. Colgera is this giant flying ice monster you have to fight against basically inside the tornado, and it is a very cinematic battle, and the music definitely reflects the cinematicness of it all. It takes place in what's called the Wind Temple, and so a lot of the sort of musical figures you're going to hear reflect sort of wind, I guess. It's a bit of a crazy one, so get ready. did that is because, well, first of all, credits music in general is some of my absolute favorite because it does such a good job of actually it really gets you in the feels every time. Either it gives you a feeling of victoriousness and happiness that you get from completing a game for the first time, or it's bittersweet because you wish that it could keep going. And so I think those are also the conflicting feelings that I have as I come to a close with my high school life. And so I wanted to use these three pieces of credits music kind of as the credits to my own high school experience. So between each one of these, I'm not going to stand up and bow because I want it to feel like one continuous thing, but you can still clap in between each one. I should probably say that to stop hanging awkward silence. But yes, please enjoy. recital. Thanks to every one of you to being a part of my high school life. It really means the world. I like to thank some specific people. First of all, my parents. I don't know where my father is, but back there. They for supporting me, letting me play piano, letting me play video game music, even though it's a little bit of a niche specific thing. And thank you to one of my piano teachers at GSA, Miss Morozova. I don't think she's here. I don't know, but she has been an excellent teacher. She has pushed me to limits that I did not think I would be able to go to. And I also want to thank Miss Willett, who's in Japan right now, apparently, but she has also supported me with playing video game music and has helped me work on that a lot to make it a reality for me to play it here at my recital, because I really do like video game music. It means a lot more than people might think. Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. There are concessions outside and stuff like that, so go ahead. Thank you very much for coming.